The F1 caravan has rolled into Singapore, and once again, we're gearing up for one of the most physically demanding circuits of the season. The intense heat and suffocating humidity are already taking their toll on the drivers, and the top challenge this weekend isn't just about winning, it's about enduring. Surviving the full race distance without dehydrating or falling ill is a battle in itself, but even if they manage that, another unpredictable factor looms large: the rain. There's a legitimate chance of showers during Friday's free practices, and even during Sunday's race. And in Singapore, where the tropical climate can flip on a dime, nothing is ever certain. That unpredictability is exactly why this circuit generates so much hype every single year, especially when it comes to what's going to happen on track. Singapore is the closest race to the equator, and even though it's a night race, that proximity means extreme temperatures and punishing humidity. The layout itself may not be packed with high-speed corners. In fact, 90-degree bends dominate due to its downtown street circuit nature, but don't let that fool you. The race runs at a much lower average speed compared to other tracks, which means drivers are in the car for close to 2 grueling hours, relentlessly working the wheel in brutal conditions. For context, the shortest time to complete this race was 1 hour, 40 minutes and 52 seconds set just last year. Only 2 Grand Prix here have ever finished under the 1 hour, 50-minute mark. That means drivers need to stay focused, hydrated, and mentally sharp for what feels like an eternity. Max Verstappen has already commented on what he expects from the Singapore GP, and while he's watching closely to see how the latest RB21 upgrades perform on this high downforce circuit, he's also acutely aware of the brutal physical challenge that lies ahead. Max put it simply: Singapore will depend on a lot of things. If the car is shocking to drive, then yes, it's really hard to keep it in a straight line, but if the car is nice to drive, then it's more about just the physicality of it. But at the same time, if everything's going well, then you can relax a bit more and naturally it's less physical. So I don't know, let's wait and see. I mean, it's for sure always hot and you're sweating a lot, so you have to prepare for that. But the conversation doesn't stop with Max. All eyes are on McLaren, who have firmly established themselves as kings of high downforce circuits. Their dominance in Zandvoort and Hungary has made one thing crystal clear: unless they have a disastrous weekend like they did in Baku, they are the ones to beat. That's a problem for teams like Ferrari and Red Bull. Unlike the previous 2 races, Singapore is a completely different animal, and that shift in technical demands is the first major hurdle these 2 squads must clear if they want to walk away with a win. Ferrari in particular may not be in the spotlight this weekend, not because they've thrown in the towel for 2025 and started focusing entirely on the new regulations, but because of internal tension and repeated execution issues. Remember Baku? Miscommunication allowed Hamilton to retain P8, and while it didn't drastically affect Leclerc's position, it was yet another example of how Ferrari needs to sort things out if they ever want to be taken seriously again. On street circuits like Singapore, that sort of inconsistency could prove disastrous, and with Ferrari recently losing their 2nd place in the constructors' standings, this race is critical if they want to mount even a symbolic comeback before the season ends. But make no mistake, the spotlight is firmly on McLaren's drivers. They remain the main contenders in the championship battle, even with Verstappen's recent resurgence. As Toto Wolff pointed out, another DNF for Piastri could flip the entire championship narrative. However, let's be honest, expecting McLaren's bad luck in Baku to repeat itself isn't exactly fair. Oscar Piastri has been nearly flawless so far, and his goal in Singapore is simple: keep the momentum going. Of course, it gets tougher now that Verstappen is once again a major threat. With 7 races and 3 sprint events remaining, that 69-point lead could disappear quickly, but it's still a tough mountain to climb. McLaren boss Zak Brown knows this. He's feeling the heat not just from the humid Singapore weather, but from the pressure to manage the championship race fairly. After being heavily criticized for how the team handled internal driver competition earlier in the season, Brown is making one thing clear: McLaren is fully committed to giving both drivers equal opportunity and equal equipment. He said, "We've got to pay attention to math. We've got to keep doing what we're doing. The constructors is looking very good. We had a chance to wrap it up in Baku, but let's not talk about Baku. Hopefully we can get the job done in Singapore. We want our 2 drivers and Max in the fight for the championship, but we'd like to kind of get Max out of there and just give Lando and Oscar equal opportunity, and may the best man win. That's what we want. We'd like to not play a role if at all possible, but you get into situations like Lando's mechanical failure, and things can. Our goal is just to set them both up for a final showdown in Abu Dhabi. But here's the core of the pressure Brown is feeling. Beyond just the points and politics, he knows exactly what kind of opponent Max Verstappen is. He's seen firsthand how Max thrives under pressure. In 2021, Verstappen entered the final race starting from pole with Hamilton alongside, and we all know how that controversial finale ended. The point is, Verstappen doesn't crack, he doesn't make mistakes under pressure. Can the same be said for Norris, or even Piastri, especially after Baku? That's the big question. Still, Singapore is a track that favors McLaren more than any of their direct rivals. If they can bounce back here after 2 tough races, the championship fight stays alive. If they don't, well, things could get out of hand. And that's not the only storyline brewing in Singapore. Over at Red Bull, there's an intense seat battle underway. Yuki Tsunoda is riding high after a career-best finish in Baku, coming home P6 in the main Red Bull car. He's hungry to repeat or even improve on that performance in Singapore. More importantly, he managed to keep Lando Norris behind, stealing 2 critical points from the Brit, which, while not Max's direct concern, helps his championship bid all the same. And the latest RB21 upgrades seem to be working for both drivers now, giving Tsunoda the tools he desperately needs. Why is it so important? Because Tsunoda's future is on the line. If he doesn't impress, it's unlikely he'll find a seat in 2026 outside of the Red Bull family. There are whispers of a possible swap with Isak Hadjar, which would allow rising star Arvid Lindblad another year in F2, while Hadjar could take over in 2026. But there's also a real chance Lindblad skips that wait entirely and gets promoted straight to Racing Bull. All of this means only one thing for Tsunoda: it's do or die. He has nothing to lose and everything to prove. And while Yuki had an amazing race in Baku, let's not forget the driver just ahead of him, Liam Lawson. His incredible drive might have overshadowed Tsunoda's finish a little, but that doesn't diminish the fact we're heading into an electric weekend. The stakes are sky high, the weather is wild, and by the end of this race, we could be looking at a completely different championship landscape. So now it's your turn. What are you expecting from the Singapore Grand Prix? Which storyline has you the most hyped? Let us know in the comments below, and once you do that, make sure to click on the video that's popping up on your screen right now. Tsunoda the tools he desperately needs. Why is it so important? Because Tsunoda's future is on the line. If he doesn't impress, it's unlikely he'll find a seat in 2026 outside of the Red Bull family. There are whispers of a possible swap with Isak Hadjar, which would allow rising star Arvid Lindblad another year in F2, while Hadjar could take over in 2026. But there's also a real chance Lindblad skips that wait entirely and gets promoted straight to Racing Bull. All of this means only one thing for Tsunoda: it's do or die. He has nothing to lose and everything to prove. And while Yuki had an amazing race in Baku, let's not forget the driver just ahead of him, Liam Lawson. His incredible drive might have overshadowed Tsunoda's finish a little, but that doesn't diminish the fact we're heading into an electric weekend. The stakes are sky high, the weather is wild, and by the end of this race, we could be looking at a completely different championship landscape. So now it's your turn. What are you expecting from the Singapore Grand Prix? Which storyline has you the most hyped? Let us know in the comments below, and once you do that, make sure to click on the video that's popping up on your screen right now.